Hi friends, in this segment we are going to see the poem The Listeners. The central main character who comes in this poem is a traveler. And the night time, the nature is being described and the situation was encountered by a traveler throughout this poem. Let's get into the poem. Is there anybody there? Said the traveler, knocking on the moonlit door, and his heart in the silence charmed the grasses of the forest's ferny floor. And a bird flew up out of the turrets above the traveller's head, and he smote upon the door again a second time. Is there anybody there? He said. But no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes. But he stood perplexed and still. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. As I said earlier, the main character and the unnamed figure who comes in this poem is the traveller. It was the night time. A traveller was riding on a horse that may be the forest area, as there was only one house which the traveller found. He got down from the horse to check whether anybody is there in that house. Only the moonlight he had, as it was night time. Then he knocks at the door asking, is there anybody there? By knocking at the door, he was waiting for the answer. At that time, his horse was eating the grass in that quiet forest. A bird flies out of a small tower on the house and over the traveller's head. The traveller knocks again forcefully at the door by asking, is there anybody there? No one comes down from the house to meet him. However, no one even leans out of the window where it is covered with leaves. He stood still there because there is no one to answer his question and to pay heed to him. The traveler was feeling that inside that house is a group of hostly beings as passive listeners. He feels as if somebody is there inside as ghostly beings. They may crowded around the staircase by hearing his voice from outside. The quiet atmosphere in the empty house is actually disturbed by the sound of the traveler's lonely voice. Outside, the traveler senses a strange presence in the silence that meet up his question. His house was undisturbed by anything and it was still grazing in the dark forest where the sky is full of stars and obscured by trees. Then the traveler suddenly beats on the door once again more loudly than before. Finally, he calls out loudly and said, whoever is listening, just pass on a message that no one answered me when I came to the house, but I kept my promise. So, which means that maybe in order to keep the promise to someone, he could have traveled and come over there to that forest, especially to that house. But no one responded back to him. So the traveler was the only living person around that forest, and his words reverberate through the dark, empty house. So then, as there was no one to answer him, the traveler rides away from there with his horse. The silence of the forest quickly returns as the sound of the horse's forceful riding fades away. So that traveler went away from that place, and the forest also came to its ordinary still position as being very quiet and tranquil. I hope you could have understood this poem. Stay tuned with Learning Station for further videos. Thank you.